Safe. Builder. Sound money. Yeah. Thanks everybody for coming. Let's see if we are live. Yes, we are. All right. Mike in space, man. How are you doing?
Doing good.
It's great. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate your Twitter. I've been following you for a long time. I've been annoyed at you at times, to the point that I unfollowed you. And then recently I was like, you know what? This guy gets it. And then I followed you again. So it's been good.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a streak of skepticism from time to time, and sometimes it's just I'm working through things in my own head, and it's just coming out on Twitter, and it's like I'm playing devil's advocate with myself. But at the end of the day, I mean, I really am a Bitcoin maximalist because that is my entire investment thesis, right? That's what I hold. I've been an investor since 2013. But I mean, I am sort of a contrarian by nature, and sometimes when I see, some of the really out there stuff on Twitter about, we're going to the moon and all this other stuff, it's like I just got to get in there sometimes and just give my own 2 cents. But yeah, I mean, lately, I mean, Bitcoin has been doing incredibly well. I'm surprised how it's been staying above 15,000 for the last week or so, and it's so I mean. That's great to see, obviously. I mean, the stock market's been it's funny that the stock market is now more volatile than crypto. It's very, very
That's
weird.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to complain when Bitcoin's up,
Yeah.
Making new 2-year highs. And so, and I mean, I totally get kind of your dilemma, because and I think a lot of maybe, the early people in this space, they might be in a similar position because we're contrarians by nature.
Yeah. That's why we're here. Yeah.
That's why we're here. And now our journey, in order to succeed, we have to see Bitcoin become mainstream, and that's it's gonna bump against the edges. But we can't not talk shit. That's not.
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of it. I think that's good. I think skepticism is very healthy. When you look at some of these altcoin communities, they're very insular, and there's really no critics there. You know what I mean? No community has more critics than Bitcoin, and I think that's very healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I missed something there about the altcoin communities. Can you say that again?
Well, I said, if you look at a lot of these altcoin communities, I don't see the same degree of skepticism or critical thought there, right? So, I think that's healthy. That there are so many critics in Bitcoin. They're looking at every little thing. That can only be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin is a target for everybody. It gets hit from every single direction. I'm kind of in a bubble at this point. I don't really see that much, but it's it's definitely a target. And I think people like the alts are they've kind of slowed down. They've kind of quieted out. Maybe I just muted all of them. I don't really mute too much, but every once in a while. But I don't really see that much anymore. I think everybody's just kind of accepting that this thing's taking off and the alts are dumping. Every once in a while, you're like, oh, alt season, you still see it, but in the markets, it's the dominance is dominating right now. At least there was a moment there where it was crashing. There was definitely a little alt pump, but
what's happening with Ethereum right now? They had a crazy fork, and the price went up. So I don't this whole thing is bananas. Crypto, I can't even predict it anymore.
Yeah. The forks are hilarious because people will buy a coin before it forks.
Yeah.
Against the risk of it forking, because they think, well, at the other side, I'll get 2 coins.
Well, this was an unplanned fork, right?
That was an unplanned fork.
Yeah. With what happened with Ethereum, there was some code screw up.
Some bug.
Yeah, and
I didn't hear about it.
Oh, yeah, it's big news today. They
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So now they're unforking it. They wanting it.
Well, yeah, they have to decide what side of the fork is the real Ethereum, right? But it's funny. I'm looking at CoinMarketCap and the price is up, so no one cares.
That's amazing. Yeah, nobody cares. Yeah, that's wild, man. Yeah, we're live. How you doing, Ugly?
Okay. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry,
it's all right.
Let me get some coffee.
Yeah, it's all right. I kind of was I should call him But then I was like, no, he'll remember.
I forgot all about it. I was
Yeah.
sitting there.
Looking at the market, I bet. I mean, we just hit 16,000.
Wow.
I'm selling some.
Nice.
Damn.
Right. Right on.
On the cash markets. Got to pay my credit cards.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm selling a speculative long position.
All right, everybody, hit that like button. We're about to really get the show going. We only have about 50 minutes here. Mike's got to go pick up his kids soon. But Mike, for those that don't know you, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and like your story in this industry.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I got into Bitcoin in early 2013. That's it. Here we are. I started making content in around 2016, 2017. Most prominently, Bitcoin Card Talk. It's a sort of a comedic skit that I did for a little while. And I'm kind of a contrarian on Twitter. That's sort of what I'm known for, if I'm known for anything at all.
So was that before the Cypress or after the Cypress in 2013?
So I got in around February, maybe April. It's kind of a blur, but yeah, I recall that whole Cypress thing going down, but I'm not sure if it was before or after, but it was right around that time.
Yeah, I didn't I got in August when I finally, looked at the thing. My son I had heard about it for a long time. My son kept directing me to it. Man, as soon as I saw it, I said, man, this is it. So, just if you have once you have that epiphany and you get it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what's ahead for Bitcoin. It looks like we're in a bull market. I don't know that there's a lot that can get in its way. I mean, it could, Bitcoin's wild, but let's assume we're just in full bull market now.
Even with the bull market, we're going to have a big retrace, and that's typical, right? It's going to happen.
Yeah.
No, that's why I try and teach people. They think I have magic beans or something, and I have no idea where the market's going, and I trade accordingly, which it's a hard concept to grasp.
Yeah. It's like that skit. I think there was a skit on YouTube a while back where it's like, the price is going to crash. The price is going to crash, but it keeps going up and up and up and up. So while it retraces, we're way up over time, right?
Yeah. So you've been kind of poking fun at Michael Saylor a little bit, and I'm a big fan of I think that the case that he's making for Bitcoin now is interesting. It's fresh, like he's sort of refreshing the argument for Bitcoin. But there's a few points where there's some tension. What are the things that, like, what do you think about Michael Saylor?
Yeah, so I think it's great. I think it's great that he invested that amount of money, the treasury reserve of his company. What I find a little problematic is just some of his talking points about how, Bitcoin just needs to be a store of value, and he doesn't really seem to care about censorship resistance or transacting with it, and that just pokes me the wrong way a little bit. I think Bitcoin needs to be both. I think you need to have this circular economy, and I think it also needs to be a store of value, and it just feels like he's too lopsided on one side. But overall, it's great. It's great to see all this inflow happening.
Sure.
Well, the way I read it, I kind of thought he took it to the next level, because the way I'm reading him is I think he's got the right view, because he basically and maybe I'm reading between the lines too much, but he sees Bitcoin as a collateralizing vehicle, and basically your HODL is going to give you a whole lot of freedom. It basically gives you Bitcoiners say be your own bank, and you know what? If that's true, then we need to start being our own banks. But not everybody wants to be a bank, and essentially he is a bank. And if you're leaning in that direction, and of course I think the development's going to come off chain. I don't think that Bitcoin is. I think you got to make it easy for the average person. And people may not even know. When people were on the gold standard, they didn't know they were on the gold standard. They just knew they had a money that worked.
Yeah, but that's a bit of the problem when you don't even know you're on the gold standard, and then it becomes very easy for them to then give you gold-backed paper, and then they take the gold away. So that's, when you improve the UX to the extent where you don't even understand what's happening, underneath, it's very easy for them to take things away at that point. If everyone's transacting with paper Bitcoin, like Bitcoin-backed paper, then it becomes fractionalized and all sorts of things start happening.
Yeah, that's been my issue with the centralization of Bitcoin, in the sense that what I'm seeing, and this is not entirely the case, but what I'm seeing is a series of huge exchanges being captured through regulatory pressure.
Yeah.
And then a ton of liquidity being in these exchanges. And then they're going to start trying to plug every hole that they can so that they can control the outflows and inflows into the exchanges, into the marketplace.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's still a gray market and a black market for Bitcoin, and that's probably always going to be there because of its nature.
But there's once you're off the exchanges, there goes the price discovery, and then the price goes down, right? It's like, look what's happening right now with Monero and Zcash. They're all being delisted because of their privacy properties, but I mean, it's not good for the price.
Yeah, and then they can't get liquidity, they can't get bought. Yeah. That's my concern. And I mean, I think one of the reasons why I was kind of back in the day where I was kind of annoyed at your commentary on Twitter was mostly because I was on a side of this fork drama, and that was like in that era, right? And you had a very kind of technical argument, which was, hold on, like we can't just give up on money, medium of exchange, and sort of.
There's that, but let me give you my perspective, because I think oftentimes people misinterpret my point of view on this. So my point of view is that I think all these projects deserve to exist. It's open source software. I have no problem with BSV. I have no problem with Ethereum. I have no problem with Nano or whatever. It's fine. This is what a free market looks like. And that's where I probably differ a lot from some of the maxis out there, where my investment thesis is still Bitcoin, and that's all I hold. But I'm totally fine with these other things existing. And people interpret that as, oh, well, he's just a shitcoiner, he's a Bcash or whatever. But it's like, I don't even hold those coins, but it's totally fine if they exist. And I think that's...
Bitcoin standard just fell apart.
And that's so, so a lot of people...
The gods.
It's funny, the only thing that probably got me unfollowed more than that whole fork drama stuff is this right here. So I've been tweeting some Trump stuff lately. I'm a Canadian, so I don't even really have a horse in the race, but it's like, I say controversial things like, let's wait until the votes are counted. It's so controversial, right? Wow. So I've in the last week or so, I've had so many unfollows and blocks, it's crazy.
Yeah, who knew that it was fascist to ask for making sure the votes are counted?
Yeah, I know.
It's very fascist.
Hilarious.
Very
fascist. Let the media decide. That's fine.
Let's just let the media rule the world. It's fine. This is fine.
I don't read Bitcoin maximalists that way at all. So, but I don't like the term Bitcoin maximalist because, Vitalik Buterin is the one that came up with the term, and it was to disparage us. And because we're not locked into thinking, and Bitcoin people that understand Bitcoin, we tend to have a good sense of humor. And I mean, Giacomo is probably the best one that demonstrates that, is the most hated. But I don't think it's an issue at all about, if they want to have a competing standard. That's never been an objection, and in all my writings in Medium, it's not that at all. The issue is when they say it's better than Bitcoin. They reveal that they don't understand what Bitcoin is.
Well, but it's like a sports team. Everyone's sports team is the best sports team, right?
Yeah, and then of course the worst one is if they do a bait and switch like Roger Ver does, and so that's very deceptive.
Yeah,
too. But and it's the method of it's a promotion. I mean, it is. I mean, the use case of Ethereum still remains to make more shitcoins. So I don't have any problem if they want to be the standard. Just, show me. You don't have to tell me. This is real simple. Just become the longest chain with a proof of work, with a fixed limited supply, unconfiscatable. Hey, you don't have to tell me, just do it. But they can't do it that way. They have to compare it to, because they feel like they missed out, and they really don't understand sound money. That's the issue. They do not understand the economics.
I don't know if they're interested in sound money though. I think it's.
Well, I don't think they are. No, they're inflated. No, they're not. They're not.
Right.
No, I agree with that. They're not.
Yeah.
But that's what they want to portray.
Well, a few of them, yeah. Some of them will be like, "Oh, it's better than Bitcoin," and then it'll be a Twitter shitstorm for a few days, and then people forget about it.
So what? Okay, so you're controversial, I hear. I'm really not aware. Juan got you on our show. Thank you for coming on in such short notice.
Yeah, not a problem.
And I'll have to start. I don't know if I follow you or not, but I have to start looking at some of the stuff.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Apparently, you set yourself. You put yourself in a unique place, which is very important.
So I'm controversial because, I think because I just instead of keeping some sort of contrarian thoughts in my head, I vomit it out on Twitter, right? And that's how I kind of work through different ideas. And and when enough people say I'm being an idiot, then sometimes I reconsider some of these things. Right. But yeah, I don't know how I guess I am controversial to a certain extent.
So let me ask you something. Yeah. What is the one thing that you believe that this industry and maybe the world, let's start with this industry, doesn't really get, and then we can move out to the world.
Okay, what this industry doesn't really get. Yeah, I guess, like I said before, I'm still struggling with the idea of Bitcoin in a vacuum being a store of value. And I think that's how it's being promoted by the Michael Saylors of the world, where, it's just this thing that, sits in a bank and it goes up and, number go up. And I think that's important. It is important. It has to be a store of value. Otherwise, no one would want to transact with it. But I think there's both aspects are important. And I think that's getting a little lost the last little while. So
is there a place where we've gone too far with the store of value narrative? Is there a place where we cut Bitcoin at the kneecaps, by turning it into only a store of value, and we give up on censorship resistance, on privacy, on medium of exchange? Because if it's too expensive to move it, obviously that's if the fees price out 90% of the market, is that a problem? Well, obviously, there's Lightning Network and Liquid, and there's technical engineered solutions for that, which we'll see if they meet the market, because they haven't really taken on yet. They're there. We haven't hit the point where the market is demanding them. The fees are not egregious yet, even though we had a spike recently to 50, but we haven't hit that yet.
I just, it's weird. When I see these Bitcoin debit cards, it's why do you even want that? It's so weird. When that seems to be the big thing now. I see so many of them out there, and it's really, this is why you're in the space.
It's really funny.
It's fine. I get it. There's tax implications for spending your Bitcoin, so you don't want to do that because you're an accountant and you're how very cypherpunk of you. You're so concerned about spending $20 and the tax man might be on your ass.
So the Bitcoin debit cards help you avoid tax?
I don't know. I don't even know, because I guess I don't even know how they work, honestly. But yeah, I would assume so, because why else would you use them?
I don't really know.
Well, I don't think they're useful at all.
Yeah.
That's why my next question is kind of, what do you mean? Do you want? I don't know if it's a matter of you want or what you see in the future. I mean, is your desire to have the features of money be on chain? Because I don't see that happening. I just see Bitcoin is the new gold, and it's going to be treated as such. And gold was never used as cash. And yet,
But look what happened with
everything was
gold.
tied to gold.
Yeah.
The coinage was tied to gold. Even the silver coins. There was, and I think there's.
Yeah. But if we're
I
just
think there could be.
reinventing gold, if
Huh?
we're just reinventing gold, then just use gold, because the whole point of Bitcoin is that, you can effortlessly move, thousands or millions or billions of dollars of Bitcoin instantly, low fee. But if you can't even move it, it's basically you've recreated gold, and now you're holding it with a custodian.
I mean, gold is limited to jurisdictions. It's physical.
Right.
So
But if you're holding,
I hope nations go back to gold standard. I'd love to see Bitcoin compete with the gold standard, because nations should adopt the gold standard. It's a physical thing. Bitcoin that transcends nations. And
but if you're holding it with a custodian, does it?
well, yeah, but who's doing that?
Well, but that seems to be the path, like where
If you're a
because the
bank,
fees-
you're not. If you're, but well, that's true. It's going to be a world. Basically, we're going to relearn banking, and there's going to be new bankers coming into the world, but it's not going to be the old ones.
Yeah. So Michael Saylor's coins. He's got a personal stash, and then he's got the company stash, the corporate stash. I believe he said that the corporate stash is in a custodial service.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's something like BitGo or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Well, it's funny because he said
his personal stash. Does he hold his own keys, or because he said he's had something like 17,000 Bitcoin?
I'm gonna be surprised.
Is that personally held, or
I imagine it's with a custodian. But it's funny because he had this tweet out. It's like, we just started up our first node. It's like, you just bought $400 million of Bitcoin. Now you're starting up the node after you bought the $400 million worth. And it's held with a custodian. What are you doing with this node? What's it even doing?
Yeah, what is the point of holding a node if you're not verifying your own transactions, right? The custodian's telling you how much coins you have, how much coins are in the market. Yeah. No, he tweeted it out like it's like a social benefit, like it's a charitable initiative.
I guess part of it, you guys know more about the back end than I do, and he does. I mean, is the back end really that important? Except
he gets it. He really understands the technology, I think.
It's the big. I mean, that's
better than me, I'm sure.
This is the big difference between gold and Bitcoin. It's like you can personally verify your income, that what you're getting is real Bitcoin. You can verify the coin supply, everything. It's all those things that you can't do with gold. You don't know how much gold is in the ground, or how much is in an asteroid, or if the gold you hold is really, tungsten or something covered with a layer of gold, or it's the whole point is being able to verify it.
But we're interested in it. What about the 99% that could care less? And that they're going to benefit from sound money. I mean, the way I say it, look, I got people working for me. They don't know anything about Bitcoin, but they're on the Bitcoin standard, because they wouldn't be working for me or getting paid if they didn't.
So I'm putting on my maximalist hat on now, and the point is that, will it remain sound money if 99% of the people aren't verifying their own transactions? I'm turning into Luke now, and it's like, because once the vast majority are not doing that, the supply can be inflated, all sorts of things can happen, because that's sort of like the economic majority.
I'll bite into that one, and that's what I'm saying all along. I don't think I think what it's not Bitcoin alone, but there literally has to be a moral change, and I think you're seeing that. It just gives people a long-term perspective. It's kind of like there's a lot of atheists and agnostics that live by Christian values than most Christians. But they would never, they don't know where those values came from. They just incorporated it into what they are. And I bet maybe you don't buy into that argument, but I
No, I think that's a good argument. And that's why I get a little prickly with some of like Michael Saylor's tweets or the Winklevi. It's like, I think it feels like we're almost like losing this ethos. And the ethos is very important. Without that, it's like, you can inflate it away. I don't know if the value is retained at that point.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's something being slowly kind of removed or being forgotten or being left behind, and I'm concerned about it. And I think part of it is the privacy stuff. I think part of it is the
So that's a good point. You know, there's all these like privacy things that are on the horizon for Bitcoin, but they need to be adopted in order for them to happen, right? And what happens when the economic majority of the system is like the Michael Saylors of the world, and they're like, well, I don't want anonymity on Bitcoin. I bought it because
Yeah.
it's a transparent ledger.
This is going to be a really interesting dilemma ahead. And as far as like what are the challenges ahead for Bitcoin in this next bull market, last bull market, after we broke the all-time high around something, I think it was like 2,500, that's when Bitcoin Cash fork happened. And the drama there was, well, obviously we understand that narrative, like there was the sort of on-chain versus off-chain scaling and so on. Gosh, what was my point? Totally forgot what I was going to say. Oh yes, okay. The resolution of the Bitcoin fork drama was, at least the narrative is, full nodes. The economic majority wanted Bitcoin Core, wanted Bitcoin on-chain, off-chain scaling, wanted to keep the block small, right? The economic majority, as it was defined back then, as I remember, it was full nodes that actually process and verify and transmit a volume of transactions and economic engagement in the marketplace, right? And that's why Bitcoin is how it is today. Like that's why the Bitcoin, let's just call it Core 1. Let's just call it that for now, for sake of argument. Now we're moving into an era where the biggest nodes with the biggest economic activity are also probably going to be in custodial exchanges, and they're going to be mega whales. In another fork, is this strategy going to work for us, or is it going to work against us?
Right, because you're the ones forking at that point. They're on the original protocol. Right. So it's an uphill battle for privacy. It's just stasis if you just want to keep things the way they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if the battle is around privacy, I mean, I think the most interesting and optimistic pieces of it are things like transactions that look like default transactions, look like sort of like normal transactions.
Yeah, is that like Taproot or something? Taproot has that?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I've seen some stuff around it, but it lets you actually open up Lightning channels or do other things. And
yeah.
So on-chain, it looks like a normal transaction, right?
Right now, they could theoretically block Lightning Network because it's very obvious when you're opening a channel or closing one. Yeah,
it's very obvious. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's one of the challenges we'll have to keep monitoring. We're definitely nowhere near it, and it could be entirely hypothetical. It could be that they don't care, but I think there's no doubt that Bitcoin takes away a power from the United States, takes a power from the European Union, and that power is ostracism, like political kind of choking countries that they don't like, right? Like you just the using the spaces, the Visa, MasterCard, all these payment processors using the financial system as a way to control what countries do, and if they don't play ball, then they cut them off from
I think I read an article recently. I think the Iranian government is now in Bitcoin mining just because various sanctions and whatnot.
Obviously
pretty
I didn't read it, but I saw it. A Bitcoin magazine covered it, and they're mining Bitcoin. They're really getting into it, and I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So now what?
Well, that's
gonna be interesting.
Step in the right direction for Iran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really a smart move.
I think that
North Korea, Iran, Venezuela. I think all these countries are doing it to some degree.
And you know what? And if they move to the Bitcoin standard, I mean, they're basically accepting certain premises of capitalism. They're accepting certain premises of hard money. They're becoming more capitalist and conservative than the U.S. government, in the sense that the fiat currency world is it's basically fascistic. They print money at will, and and socialistic. They print money at will, they give it out at will, and they block you at will.
Yeah, I think there was some stat that like a quarter of all the money ever printed was in like the last 6 months.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Something like $8 trillion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
Right.
I don't know where it's going. Nobody does, but it's scary. So
Yeah, we're in some wild times now. We're in the fog of war. What else would you like to kind of talk about? What else do you think is important right now, or at least interesting? What's catching your attention? I guess we're not talking about the elections.
We
yeah, we can
could.
talk about the
I'm
election.
I'm fine with that. I want to lose all my followers.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, well, you're Canadian. It's even worse. My Canadian
Yeah.
friend was like, I talked to him privately. He's like, yeah, I mean, Trump makes total sense. Like, I don't even get it. And then like 2 months later, he posted about it on Facebook. He's like, all right, if you can't handle the fact that I think Trump's a good thing for the world, then you can feel free to leave. And it's like 50, 60 of his friends just dropped him
Yeah.
immediately.
I'm on do you know Hive.1? It's sort of it
Yeah.
tracks your Twitter analytics, right?
Oh yeah.
And every week it mails you like a newsletter and tells you everyone who followed you and everyone who unfollowed you. So you get this whole list of like, oh wow, a lot of people unfollowed me this week.
Wow,
Wonder
that's
why. This is why right here.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit because the the MAGA crowd,
Yeah.
they're in a tough position now because basically Trump has to fight this thing all the way to the Supreme Court, and he's gonna.
Yeah.
But in a world where Biden wins anyway for some reason somehow, right? Let's say that half of America really did go out and vote for Biden. Then you have half of America basically pinned against the wall now because the government is, I guess, against them, right? They're going to change administrations. And Biden is going to be pretty bad for the economy, probably, right? I mean, I think
Really bad for Canada.
it's
Really good.
bad for Canada as well.
Yeah, we have the Keystone Pipeline, and Biden
Right.
has already said he's going to kill it day one.
Oh man.
And oil is a tremendous amount of our economy. People don't realize this. So it's like all these Canadians who are like, yeah, Biden. Okay. Let's look at our economy in a few years. When we
I'm
lose
concerned
the
about Canada,
pipeline.
man.
I think one of the interesting
I'm really
things
concerned about Canada.
is, basically if Trump can show that this election, through the using due process is fraudulent, and we're gonna have riots on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Biden wins, we're not gonna have any riots.
Oh yeah.
People are gonna be buying big. They're gonna be leaving. That's already happening.
Yeah.
They're leaving California and drugs.
New York,
and
they're
all these things,
Yeah.
and it's gonna multiply. And but to me, the only positive thing that I see is, I've known this for decades. I've been through the system. I did, I did 11 years with the feds. They took care of me, fed me well, and sheltered me, and so I knew all this stuff was there anyway. And it's just the shallowness. Like the conservatives are so shallow. When Sean Hannity says, "Well, just the top guys at the FBI that are crooked," I said, "No, they're FBI from top to bottom is totally, thoroughly corrupt, along with the CIA, along with the DEA. United States government has always been the largest drug dealer. I looked at hundreds of prisoner cases, and the drugs and the money never matched. The honest DEA or FBI agent would take some of the money, but leave the drugs, and I guess the crooked ones would take some of both. So, and it was a great play because of the guidelines. If they took your money or drugs and said, "No, I had more," well, they're going to give you a bigger sentence. So it was a perfect con. and but we built this whole bureaucracy, and in fact, now I see California's going to be a major player. The DEA, we're going to be like the old England, and we're going to have the opium wars. We produce the best marijuana products in the world for export, and we're going to force the rest of the world to buy the California product.
some serious weed, man.
Yeah, well, I guess that's one positive. Biden will probably bring that in.
Yeah, we'll be a net exporter. We'll be the biggest drug. Colombia's just be, a little satellite for us now.
Yeah.
They'll be one of our best customers. They're out
Right.
of drug business. California's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Colombia's apparently growing weed as well, but yeah, probably not. I mean, I would love it if Colombia opened up because this whole thing, Colombia's financial system is just like, it's crazy. They tighten them up because all this money laundering stuff, and so on and so forth.
Well, they're in bed with the U.S. government.
Yeah. Oh, they're captured probably.
So.
Yeah. Though they're part of NATO, interestingly enough. Yeah. So I mean, this thing. So do you think the MAGA crowd is could become interested in Bitcoin? You know, if Biden wins and the economy goes to shit, starts to go to shit, and the dollar, you know, it's.
I don't think it's just the Biden, the MAGA crowd. It's like when the economy starts.
Everybody's going to be into it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look at it gets headlines right now. I mean, we're at up to what 15,000 or so, and it's like, yeah, as it creeps higher and higher, it's going to be irresistible.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be irresistible. It's already kind of irresistible. Hey, there's another property.
So what are you in a Bitcoin business of any kind, or are you just a commentator, or are you actually involved?
I'm a commentator, but I do have little hobby businesses from time to time. Like at the moment, and this is a little plug. So right now we've been putting the Genesis block on floppy disks, and we've been selling these. So basically, this has a counterparty NFT underneath the hologram, and so counterparty is tokens on Bitcoin, right? And so the NFT basically enforces the token limit. So there's going to be 21 of these disks. It's enforced by the NFT token. And we've been selling these. A friend of mine, Joe Looney, who's the creator of Rare Pepe Wallet, and we've got, so if you want the white paper, Times of London cover, the early source code, the Genesis block itself on a floppy disk, we got that for you.
That's awesome.
That's the one shitcoin that I still have, and it's my counterparty. I had a little bit of Monero, and I got rid of it. And that was one, and I just, and then they delisted it. I don't even know if I can sell it anymore.
There's not even markets. It's got its own market, but it's pretty.
Tokens kind of migrated over to the Ethereum ecosystem. That's because Bitcoiners only want the monetary use case, store value. They don't care about anything else. So.
Yeah, they don't really care about NFTs. So tell us about this NFT. What's the deal with this? Explain this NFT to people that don't understand NFTs.
Yeah, so non-fungible token.
So you said something about enforcement. What's
enforcement? So basically, there will only be 21 tokens, and this is enforced on chain. And
just
it's
21. Okay.
21. We can't make any more than 21 tokens. Tokens are underneath the hologram. And so you can have assurance that this is a limited edition collector's item.
I love it.
There you go. Floppyblock.com.
Floppy what?
Floppyblock.com.
Floppy block. I love it.
So how many do you still have? How many do we have to
pump
so we can dump?
Right. So I think at last tally, I think we sold 11 or 12 of them. So there's still about 8 or 9 left.
Oh, shit. Gotta get on that ugly.
Yeah.
You gotta capture that market real quick.
So, and they're priced in Bitcoin or dollars?
Yeah. Bitcoin. We only take BTC.
How much?
0.0099 BTC.
Nice. Okay. That's not bad.
Geez, you can't lose that one. I mean,
$100.
You're right. I mean, what the heck?
That's cool. And the collectors are gonna love it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I jumped into, what is that? That not the yo-yo market, YD or something. There's that new real expensive, has a limit of 20,000. I sold it short, and I did real well.
Oh, the DeFi. I don't know. Yearn.
Like
yeah. I haven't gotten into it. It seems too complicated for me. I don't know.
That's fascinating. I couldn't resist it. And then then after I got into the trade, I was working great. Then and then I got blown out.
Super volatile.
So then I looked at the longer weeks, and I said, oh, there was it had already dropped substantially from when it was in.
Right. You looked at because BitMEX is trading it.
I didn't do any research on it. I said, I got it.
Yeah. One of the guys we have a private trading group, the Ugly Old Goat trading group for members of the sort of newsletter that he runs, and one of the guys was like, "Oh my God, look at thing, and then it had dropped like there was just like a 1 minute wick, and it had dropped like 35%. And he grabbed like 500 of them, and then just went long. And then within like 2-3 minutes, it just went all the way back up. He made like $2,000. Yeah. I can't remember who it was exactly, but
I mean, it's tempting
now
for me, but it's like
30%. So
it's like you have to be online 24/7 to do that stuff. And I've got like young kids, and it's like my daughter calls me, and it's like then I'll look back at the monitor, and it's like the whole thing's crashed. So it's like I don't know. I can't get into it.
Kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But how do you know where to? You know, you can put in these like fan orders that you have. You know, they'll ever get.
And then sometimes,
I
don't know anything about that world. I just hodl. That's all I do.
No, that's fine.
Well, that's what we do.
Fine.
I mean, everybody do. I kind of did it as a joke. And you know. So now we're kind of at a milestone because I actually started publishing all my trades on February 4th with 2 Bitcoin, and now it's up to taken out 67, and I'm up well over 30, 36 and 32, 68 or 67, but I have another 10. So basically I took 7,000 and ran it into over 1 million, and with very little down. So because what I teach is most people need to just throw away the charts, and what I teach is equity trading. You got to just trade what you have and learn to.
And you have a hodl, right? You have a hodl. You only play with like a small piece of that, and then you learn to manage that. And it's not at all technical analysis like what 80% of the market, the traders.
I mean, we use it, but
we use it. But
throw the TA away till you get. All of trading is money management.
So what do you think about stock to flow? If you're not really a TA guy.
Oh, that's a fundamental. Yeah, stock to flow is
Now, why is that not TA?
Well, for the same reason that basis is not TA. It's a function of a market. It's not, you're not looking at tea leaves. Basis is not technical. Contango and backwardization. It's a fun. If you're going into backwardization, it will correct itself. It's not a timing mechanism, but when I took my in 2017, I was in the top 10 notational at BitMEX, and back there in the late 16 and early 17, Bitcoin was at a big backwardization. Very, very few people understood it because there were not very many really knowledgeable traders in the market. They said, "Oh, look at the future. So Bitcoin's going down." I said, "No, it's extremely bullish because nobody's going to be hedging their Bitcoin when it's under the market. Everybody's going to be buying the futures and selling the cash, just their daily needs." And that was the year, that we went before we topped out. I think we had a contango of $2,000 or $3,000 when Bitcoin was pushing 20,000. The futures were 22, 23,000. So, we did the same thing a year ago last summer. We had that nice bull move up, but once we went into the contango, that was it. It was volatile, but we didn't keep going up. We just, and I said then, the smart money, if you're a miner, they can hedge, 10% of the production, and they're going to be profitable for the year. And I said, Bitcoin's strong. It's not going to, I knew that Bitcoin was not going to be in trouble for at least a year. So
when you say hedge, what does it look like? They grab their Bitcoin, they put it on the exchange and go short? In the futures, in the most expensive futures market, they go short.
Yeah, they're selling the futures, and they're only selling the smart guys, they're only selling a portion of their, they can decide what they want. They can sell more, but they're going to sell at least enough of their production to lock in their costs. So they're guaranteed they're not going to lose. Even if the market goes 100 or 200,000 parties, it doesn't matter where the market goes. They've already forward sold their production. So have to lock in their profit. So when the contango is really high, let's say the contango is, I don't know, but 5% or something, right? Then you would say, okay, I'm going to grab 10%, sell it short 10x or 5x on. And the fundamentals are, by the time it comes to delivery time, it's going to
match the spot price.
And all the speculators, it's stupid, weak money that's buying it, because it's like they're buying a handicap. They don't want to pay the funding. Oh, I'm not going to pay that funding. So they buy these futures. They go, well, I'll just buy because the spread keeps getting wider and wider. Then when it disappears, it collapses. It takes overnight, literally. And so people that are, but you have to be well financed. People that, for example, the futures, if you're running a hedging operation, you do need a bank behind you, because you don't know where the market's going, and essentially it's a blank check. But since a bank can create money and it's fully collateralized, but that's the problem. You need to know. A lot of bankers don't understand banking because there's on, and I've seen them pull people's hedges even though they were fully collateralized. So you need, if you're doing a mining operation, and to me, the bankers bank are hodlers. I mean, the hodlers of Bitcoin should be smart hodlers that want to be banking, should act as banks for miners. And I'm sure they already are. I mean, some of the more sophisticated ones.
By banks, you mean just cash flow them and then give them loans at interest,
particularly
and such.
if you're on BitMEX, because you're putting up Bitcoin as collateral. And so they may not have the Bitcoin now, but they are mining. The production.
They're going to produce it. Yeah.
You have a hold. You have a lien on their future production. You have the Bitcoin, but they have the future production.
Right.
And so it's
fascinating.
It's like a hand fits a glove. You need a bank that has Bitcoin, a hodler, and the miners. And of course, some of the big miners are also hodlers.
Right.
But they make mistakes too.
So we're running it on the 12th. On the end of the hour here. I know you got to run, Mike, but I feel like I need to interview you about this, just to drill you on this topic, because it's really, really
sure.
Well, I was talking too ugly, but we can talk about it too if you want.
I'm just learning here.
Yeah, it was interesting. That was a trip.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to get to know you, and
you as well.
We're trying to. I'm trying to. I think Juan's trying to figure out what he wants to do, and I think he's a good journalist and a good interviewer, and we have the equipment here, and so I'm trying to give him that foundation, because there's no money in journalism,
right?
And I we understand that, but if we could just go around and make the conferences, I think and then offer to do top-notch productions, it's up to these guys. I'm the old guy. I'm not going to be around long, but these guys, hopefully they'll pick up the ball and figure it out, because I don't have the answers. It's your guys' problem. I mean, you guys, I have standing offer. I'll give you all my Bitcoin if I can have your age. So
I'm not that young. I need to hold on to those years.
Mike, anything you want to promote? Anything you want to talk about?
You know what? I think it's been a great talk. If you want to follow me, I'm Mike in Space on Twitter, and if you're interested in the Genesis block on floppy disk, we have a few of these left at floppyblock.com. And thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, man.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Well, yeah, I got to do that. Actually, I need to understand. I have some. You're not selling it for counterparty. I have to use Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sometime you have to get back on and tell me how County Party has anything to do with it. I don't really understand.
Well, they're tokens on Bitcoin, right? Counterparty is a token protocol on top of Bitcoin. Rather than like ERC20 is on Ethereum, Counterparty is on Bitcoin.
Okay.
It's tokenception. It's Bitcoin and then a token on top, and then on top of that token you can make tokens. So price against counterparty, and then counterparty against Bitcoin. But you can also price the tokens against Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Inside of the counterparty exchange.
Yeah, there's a way to do it where you don't need counterparty tokens to mint the tokens. You can do it directly with Bitcoin, but it's more complicated than I can explain.
Yeah.
All right.
Counterparty is the original Ethereum.
I want to do a first edition book, digital first edition. So it sounds like that might be a solution.
We're kind of talking about NFTs. I think NFTs are one of the only areas where crypto makes sense. Aside from money, aside from hard money.
I think it's a fun area. I think crypto art is fun.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Mike in Space.
Thank you guys.
Oh wait, you gotta dance. You gotta dance.
Okay, how's this go?
Make a fool of yourself. It goes. Here's what I teach. I think we build it, and then we save, I mean, we hodl, we save, and then we build it, and then we go sound money. And the whole thing is we hodl because we know that works. We spend a little bit, that's saving, and then we build it, and that's like your little card that you're doing.
Yeah.
Build
Put it all together. So
my camera is a mirror, so I got to make sure I'm in sync with you.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm on this side.
Hodl, save,
Save.
Build a.
Build a.
Sound
money.
money.
Sound money.
All right. So long, guys.
Think,
Bye. Thanks again.
take care, man.